Hey, it's me, MLB. Here's chapter 9 of Chance Ball, and this one is titled Uaki. As I hinted at in the last chapter, it got a little bit steamy, so we're just going to jump to next week at school once Yin is let off her suspension. So, what'd I miss? You asked a classmate that you were close with as you plopped down in your seat that was behind hers the next week at school. Oh, girl, we have another new classmate, and boy is he hella fine, she replied, flicking her wrist at you as she spilled the news. Okay, yeah, whatever, you replied. No one could be as hot as my Dabi, you thought, rolling your eyes. No, legit, he's freaking hot as hell, she replied emphatically. She glanced past you and ducked her head so whoever it was behind you wouldn't see her face. Bitch, she whispered harshly. He's right behind you. Trying not to make it look obvious, you casually glanced back over your shoulder and found yourself looking straight into the eyes of the new male student. He had dark brown hair and piercing hazel green eyes. His physique was very toned from what you could make out from seeing his arms, and his facial features looked like they had been carved by the angels. You had to admit, he was pleasing to the eye, and you smiled in greeting as he stood with a few of your fellow classmates. Seeing your smile, he made his way over to you and leaned down on your desk. Hey, he said in a lilting voice. Sup, you replied casually, trying not to look at your classmate who was currently having a heart attack at Mr. Handsome being so close. You knew too? He asked, maintaining his flirtatious stance at your desk. Nope, you replied dryly. I'm back from a week's suspension. You stared him down. Oh, is that so? He chuckled. I like a bad girl. You scoffed at his brazen flirtatiousness. What's your name, baddie? He asked, crouching down so he could peer closer into your eyes. Yin, you replied stiffly. Nice name, he replied, giving you a wink. Thanks, my boyfriend likes it too. It sounds nice rolling off his tongue. You shot back at him, slightly irked by his forwardness now. Your classmate nearly keeled over at your sass and was making almost inaudible noises of horror to your right. You and Mr. Handsome continued to stare each other down. He didn't quite know how to take your response just now. Slowly his lips curled into a malicious smirk. Ah, well that makes sense that you'd have a man, he said flippantly, while rising to a standing position. I'll give it a week, he added before sauntering off. Oh, and Yin? My name's Uaki, he called back to you over his shoulder. What the hell is with all these overconfident arseholes and openly flirting with me? You thought, turning to your classmate and giving her a wide-eyed, exasperated look. The way that Uaki talked to you reminded you of the first day that you met Dabi. Yin, my god, your classmate replied to you. He totally has the hots for you. He hasn't even bothered to learn any of our names and basically just ignores us. You snorted. I could care less about him. I already have my Dabi, and trust me, I'm extremely happy with him, you said, smiling coyly as you remembered your most recent romps. Oh, but you know you have a backup there with Model Man if things don't work out with you and Scars, she said, giving you a look before spinning around in her chair to face her desk. You scoffed again. During recess, you ran to find Dabi. He was at his locker. Catch! You screamed as you ran towards him. He turned and dropped his books, crouching slightly in preparation to catch you. You threw yourself into his arms and he lifted you up above his head and then let you fall down into him. You giggled happily and kissed him passionately while he held you off the ground. How's class been, baby? He asked, lifting one arm to tuck your hair behind your ear. Boring as hell, you replied, your facial expression going from happy to dead in 0.5 seconds. Learning a lot, I see, he replied sarcastically. We have a new student too, you added, suddenly remembering Uaki. He's basically you added without thinking. Oh, is he? Well, if he's anything like me, then I'm going to have to watch out for him around you. Whoops, you thought, and grimaced. Did he make a pass at you? Dabi asked, seeing the look on your face. You averted your eyes and coughed slightly. Dabi tightened his grip on you. That arsehole, he growled angrily. Where is he? Oh, don't worry, your classmate replied from beside him. Her locker was next to Dabi's. Yin here gave the best reply to Uaki's flirtatious comments. Why, what did she say? Dabi asked your classmate. Your classmate repeated the conversation from earlier between you and Uaki, and Dabi roared laughing. That's my girl, he replied proudly, grinning and spinning you around. I'll make sure to keep you satisfied. He then whispered into your ear, nibbling lightly on your earlobe before placing you back down on the ground again. You got volleyball tonight? He asked you. Yeah, you asked, kissing him on the lips lightly. Nah, not tonight. I got a meeting with some people, so I got to head off after school. Oh, you cocked your head. Everything okay? Dabi cleared his throat and looked away. Yeah, fine. No, it's not, he replied, crossing her arms. It'll be fine, babe. Don't worry about it, he said dismissively, before picking up his books and putting them in his locker. I'll see you later, yeah? He added, still avoiding eye contact. Why do you have to be such a hard-ass for? You said angrily, slamming your fist into the locker beside him. He turned his head and looked at you. Suddenly he grabbed your wrist and pulled at it, throwing you off kilter. You want to play cute, huh? He growled, pushing up against the locker and pinning you there with his body. He bit your neck lightly and ran his tongue along your jawline, causing mules of excitement to spill from your lips. Now behave, he snarled with sexual undertones and let you go, walking off to his next class without looking back. Bastard, you whispered under your breath while shaking your head. So you like it rough? A sultry voice said from the left. You looked. Yuaki. None of your business, you snapped at him as you turned and stormed past him. He reached out and grabbed your arm as you came up beside him. I'm way better suited for you than that guy, he said smugly. You squared up. You want to fight? You said sharply, puffing yourself up. Don't talk about me and my boyfriend like that, you jealous asshat. You shook his hand off your arm and stomped off, maintaining lingering eye contact with him as you moved away. You heard him give an amused snort, but didn't look back once you'd broken eye contact. That afternoon at volleyball practice, you were distracted by the thought of Dabi. You had hoped that he would at least stayed for a bit for your practice, but no luck. You glanced up into the stands once again, praying his form would appear, but the stands remained empty. You sighed. Then you caught a glimpse of the door at the back of the stands opening. Naturally, you did a double take. Yuaki walked through and sat down in the back row. You grimaced. You kind of knew already that he was there for you and nobody else. Ugh, God, why can't these guys take hints? You thought, scrunching your brow with annoyance and refusing to look again after that. As practice ended, he disappeared. You were hoping beyond hope that he wasn't waiting for you at the school gates and hung back a bit, waiting at the gym doors before stepping out. You grabbed a teammate's arm as she reached the gym doors beside you and pulled her a little closer. Hey, you whispered to her, can you look out there and tell me if there's a guy with brown hair and hazel eyes waiting? Who? Yuaki, she responded. Oh God, do you already know who he is? You said, shocked. Yeah, he's hot. Of course I'd know his name, she scoffed. Okay, whatever. Is he out there? You asked. She poked her head out the door and looked around. Nope. Oh, okay, good, you said with relief, as you thanked her and popped your own head out to see if the coast was clear. It was, so you made a mad dash for the gate and freedom. The next day, Yuaki cornered you in the classroom. Trying to avoid me yesterday? He asked slyly. No, why? You lied. I know you asked about me after volleyball practice. You scared to fall for me, are you? He asked with snide pride. You laughed hollowly. Ha! You think you're so good. Get out of my face, you snarled. Dabi, stop it, you hissed as he latched onto your neck from behind. You were in the library getting some books for an assignment later, and Dabi had followed you in there. He was there to check things out, alright, but it certainly wasn't the books. He sucked harder and you spun around, smacking your lips onto his. If there's a frickin' hickey there, I'm going to kill you, you hissed angrily against his lips. He smirked his usual fiendish smirk and pulled your body against his. I'm just marking my territory, he snarled lowly. His hands travelled to your lower back, touching you and gripping you everywhere, and you let your body melt into his. Your body knew Dabi's touch well, and just the thought of him was enough to trigger a throbbing sensation in your core. Oh, sorry, a sarcastic voice said from behind you, breaking up the heated moment between you and Dabi. You spat vehemently, when you looked over your shoulder and saw who it was. Hey, babe, Yuaki replied with a wry smile. And who are you? Dabi shocked condescendingly. Me? Oh, I'm just a really good friend of Yin's, Yuaki replied, cocking his head and throwing Dabi a dazzlingly bright smile. You are not, you snorted, releasing yourself from Dabi's arms. This is that asshole I told you about, you said, looking at Dabi. Oh, so you're talking about me? I'm honoured, Yuaki sneered sarcastically. You're right, Yin. This here is the epitome of arseholeness. What's your name? Dabi asked the hazel-eyed male, his body tensing. Yuaki replied. Sorry, Bukaki, Dabi asked. Hilarious. You're so original, Yuaki replied. The air in the library was getting thicker and thicker as the two testosterone-filled males squared up. Whoa, okay, you said, suddenly feeling Dabi make a move from beside you. Easy, Dabi, easy, you cooed, trying to defuse the situation. Oh, look, Dabi can't go against his little fling's wishes. Yuaki sniggered, egging Dabi on. Shut it, Bukaki, he said loudly at Yuaki. Shh. Dabi hushed you sharply. Hush now, we all draw attention, he said as he stepped in behind you, wrapping his arm around your waist and covering your mouth with his other hand as he moved your head to the side so he could toy with the soft flesh of your neck. He kissed and nibbled his way down from your ear to your shoulder, maintaining a strong, dominant eye contact with Yuaki. Yuaki watched for a moment and then spun on his heels and skulked away angrily. Dabi smirked against your neck. Piece of cake, he breathed. Now, where were we? And there ends chapter 9. See, I told you it's just angst and zero direction, just randomness, but hey, if you're enjoying it, good. It gives you something to listen to at least, I guess. Stay tuned for the next chapter, chapter 10, coming tomorrow. I'll see you then.